So you can play some music in the background.
Is this our microphone? Oh, hello. I feel like we should do an introduction first of who we are. Okay. Okay, so welcome to the first episode of Pa and Cla. I am Cla. Yeah.
I am
And this is?
Pa.
I am 23 years old. This is my dad. And we are currently filming our first episode of our conversational podcast in Durban, South Africa. The date is
7th of March.
7th of March, a Thursday, at 11:30. And we are going to talk today, after my dad introduces himself, about Woodstock 99.
Okay. Thank you, Cla. I'm very proud to be your dad. And I'm very happy to be here today with you in Simbiti, this very fancy estate. And let's have a chat and see. First of all, you gave your age. I'll give my age. I'm only 53.
Years young.
That's a lie. 63. So anyway. I went to the doctor yesterday just for a checkup, and he said I'm looking good for a 63-year-old. Yeah, normally they're on chronic medication.
No, you do look good.
Thank you.
You just need to run a marathon now.
Okay, next question. Anyway, so you've come up with a very interesting topic. The topic is Woodstock. Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you kick us off then.
Okay. I think a little bit of context is needed as to maybe how we got to the subject or topic. And it's my recent obsession with Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. I've showed my dad this song. He's not a fan. And I feel like you can appreciate a lot of music, but it's not his type. And we just started discussing Woodstock 99 and the documentary that we've both watched. Which is quite interesting. How did you feel when you watched the documentary? When did you watch the documentary?
Claudia, I watched the documentary with Lenise. It must have been a year or two ago. I think it was during COVID, when I think it was being flouted. And it was quite distressing and quite shocking to see exactly what happened and what transpired during that concert.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Limp Bizkit. Now, I think in a crucial part of that concert or that documentary, they mentioned Limp Bizkit, that they were playing at the heart of when the trouble started.
Yeah.
So why did they carry on playing? That's my question.
So, do you think they should have calmed the crowd or stopped playing entirely? They should have stopped their set.
I think yes. I think so. It's not a simple answer, because I think the situation arose. It wasn't purely because of the music and because Limp Bizkit were playing their type of music. What do you call that? What is it? Grunge. What kind of music is it? Like angry music, rock metal. So I mean, it's not exactly calming music when people are going crazy. But I think what contributed to that, I don't know if you agree with me, is the fact that the organizers did not do a proper job. There weren't enough ablutions. Yeah. There were far too many people there. Yeah. The conditions were terrible. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think it was definitely the straw that maybe broke the camel's back. I do think that if we have to point fingers at anyone, it would be the organizers of the event. They were the ones that invited Limp Bizkit. You know what music they play. You know what type of genre they belong to, I guess. I mean, you're not exactly bringing out Louis Armstrong, you know. You know they're gonna, like, people are gonna, yeah, you know people are gonna start mosh pitting and pushing each other, but yeah, I definitely think the actual facilities and the resources, they were charging people absurd amounts of money for things like water. Imagine paying nearly I think at the end of the festival, it was $12 for a bottle of water in the 90s. That's crazy. So I think it definitely added to it, but I don't think it's their fault by any means. Do you think that it was maybe a case of mob mentality in a sense? Because when I was watching the documentary, I was thinking, this is almost somewhat of a social experiment. You've put nearly 200,000 people in the same vicinity in boiling hot weather with not enough water, not enough ablutions. If one person starts a fire, obviously everyone else is going to start a fire. So what do you think about that?
I think so. And it's not about being against Americans or anything like that, but I think there is a kind of an American mentality. When they are together in a big crowd, they all tend to be very vociferous and excitable, and it just snowballs. Do you know what I mean? It's not like in England. It might be different, and with people with a bit more of a stiff upper lip or whatever, but I'm not trying to be particular towards Americans or denigrate them in any way. I'm just saying it just seems like it was a bit of mob mentality. But I think also when things reach such a boiling point and a crescendo like that, it tends to be a combination of things. So it was the conditions, it was the weather, it was the lack of water, as you're saying, and they had to pay a lot for it. A lot of people actually left during the concert. They were trying to leave, and they left after having paid so much money, and they were very disappointed. But then the fires started. We haven't mentioned the fires, because the fires caused a lot of damage. So, why didn't when the organizers saw that there was pandemonium breaking out, the fires and all the rest of it, why didn't they step in? And then why, years after everything's happened, there's no culpability for anybody being hurt, or people were killed, weren't they? Were people killed or just injured?
No.
Just dead?
I think people were injured, Dad, but not like... I know there were a lot of accounts of rape that happened. So there was a lot of rape, and there was a lot of stealing. I know that towards the end, when the fires were, rampaging. Everything was out of hand by this point. I think they were breaking into the ATMs throughout the festival. They were stealing stuff from the vendors. And if you think about it, it's so easy for us to sit here and say, like, why didn't they stop any of it? But when they called the fire marshals to go put out the fires, even the fire marshals were scared to go out. They actually denied it and said, we're not going out into the crowd to stop that fire. They said in the documentary, they were like, we're not going out. They were scared. And I don't know if I would throw myself into 200,000+ people that are on drugs, have been drinking, and now they're starting fires. Like, I don't know if I'd put myself in that situation either. But I think eventually they resolved it. Would you say that kind of ruined Woodstock for what it was?
Yes, I think so, because I don't think they haven't had one since then, have they? No. And it was 1999. Yeah. Because, it's a big concept. Wherever you go in the world, there's always some concert happening in different parts of the world, and it's well supported, but it's also well organized. We've seen on videos of big bands in England, for example. They don't even have to be big bands, like big artists, Elton John and the Queen and all the rest of it. They've played in front of 100,000 people, and it's been orderly, as far as we know. So there's no fires breaking out or people, raping each other. Yeah. And even in South Africa, you've got Splashy Fenya. You obviously don't have those kind of numbers, but the concept itself is a good one. It just should have been managed a lot better. The only problem is that there's such a huge population in America that if you start trying to do something like that again, and you get one or two big bands, and the numbers are crazy. And look, the same might apply anywhere else in the world, but I think Woodstock, as it was the original one, as you were saying earlier on, was a peaceful affair, and people enjoyed it. They did it for I won't say the right reasons, but they enjoyed the music, they enjoyed the company, and it was done in a jovial way, you know, and people remembered that. So, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, it's unfortunate that sometimes people have got to learn the hard way, and people have to suffer. That's the only sad part. So, so final word on Woodstock?
I would say that it's unfortunate. I think that for what it was and when it happened, it was almost naive for people to think that it would be the same Woodstock that they experienced or saw in 1969. It was a true representation, I guess, of the generation at the time. Not to say that like they're horrible people, but that's the music they listened to. Those are the feelings they had. That was the grunge of the 90s. So I did think that it maybe put a damper on Woodstock. It could have become like a Coachella where it happened every year, and it was this big, concert celebrating music. People came there for the music. So yeah, I think it's a pity, and there's lost potential, but it's a story in itself. It's made its own, history. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. And that's been a very interesting discussion for our first podcast together of Pi and Kla. So if you enjoyed the podcast, hit the subscribe button and tune in again. Ciao, ciao.